Well, good evening, New Life Academy parents. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jed Moseman, the athletic director. Our principals and Dr. Locklear look forward to updating you on where we are with e-learning and also to answering questions that may come up as the meeting progresses tonight. Mrs. Kalinoff is also available to briefly answer questions regarding technology and to point you to the support resources that have been created to assist you during this time of e-learning. Before they get a chance to offer a few opening remarks, I'd like to offer you some logistics that will help the meeting run more smoothly. First, we suggest that you watch this presentation in speaker view. That option can be chosen in the top right corner of your window. The other option will be gallery view. That will allow you to see everyone who's on the call. Speaker view keeps the screen on whoever is speaking at that time. Second, all of you are muted right now and will be for the remainder of the presentation. You will not be able to adjust that on your own. This is for the convenience and privacy of everyone on the call. Third, we encourage you to ask questions during this time. You can do so by using the chat feature at the bottom of the screen. We'll be screening the questions and posing them to the appropriate principals as the meeting progresses based on the big themes that are coming up. Finally, if your question doesn't get answered tonight, we'll be working to answer them in writing through a frequently asked question document to be posted in the next few days. Now, please welcome our head of school, Dr. Bruce Locklear.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for being a part of this meeting tonight. Along with you, 3 weeks ago, we would have never guessed that we would be here and navigating school in an online version and watching news of so many things that are in our nation and world right now that we've never experienced before. But I just am resting in faith and in God that He has it. And so welcome. And I'd like to take some time to open in prayer, and then we will get on with the evening. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for the New Life community and the strength that it provides and the hope that it gives to everyone in our community, Father. Father, I just pray that we are in Acts 2 school and community, that we are able to reach out and show the love and the mercy that we have for everyone in our community and our nation in any way that we can, Father. These are challenging times, times that are unprecedented. And yet, in the middle of everything, Father, we are reminded that you equip us for all that we face and encounter. Father, I'm often reminded that faith isn't really faith until it's all that we have left to hang on to. And sometimes, Father, in these times that we're navigating, we feel that's the case. But Father, I'm also reminded too, in these times, of the wonder of community and the support of community and the love of community, and how just one look into that can really change everything and just bring a ray of hope for people. Father, tonight, I just pray that we are able to give out enough information that is helpful to people. And Father, I just pray that after tonight that we are able to leave this meeting with a clearer sense of purpose on what God will have us do in His kingdom. Father, we just thank you so much for everything. We just thank you for the minds that you give us to allow us to navigate these things, and the heart that gives us hope, and the spirit that you place in each and every one of us, that we will continue the fight, Father, in your name, and all that we do will glorify you. In thy name we pray, amen. Well, again, we just wanted to say thank you so much for being a part of tonight. And I did want to start out with our school's verse tonight. And it's Isaiah 40:31. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I've had the opportunity to go back and read that verse. And every time I read that verse, I'm in a different circumstance. And I draw new meaning every time. But the verse paraphrase says that we are all going to be faint and weary, and that even the young will sometimes fall down of fatigue in that journey. But if we are patient enough to wait on the Lord will renew our strength. And the Lord provides to us an eagle that we're able to mount, and that we can run and not grow weary, and we can walk and not grow tired. And I know in the middle of all of this, sometimes we can get a little fatigued, but it's just a reminder that God is with us in everything that we're doing. And just praise God for that. Well, just some updates from us, with the governor moving toward the idea of e-learning through May 4th. I just want y'all to please understand that we are in a state that is very fluid. And as a matter of fact, we spent so much time as an administrative team just talking about trying to manage things 2 weeks at a time, because things are literally changing in an hour by hour manner. But in the middle of all of this, one thing is for sure is that we want New Life Academy and the New Life community to be a stable force in the lives of people within our community and beyond our community. You see, our mission hasn't changed. Our desire to serve your children in a Christ-centered school with kingdom education has not changed. Our care for you and our love for your children has not wavered. The only thing that has really changed right now internally is how we're doing business. And that's the manner in which we deliver education. And we are doing everything we can to make that work as best we can for everybody involved. And while we share this, realize that we are not perfect. I have a calendar now that I just write things down in, and on a daily basis, so I can just keep track of everything that's going on. But I reflected back that last Monday we met with staff and decided that our direction was going to be e-learning. And we gave our teachers literally Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to get ready for a soft launch on Friday. And we were underway. And we look back and now we're a week into the process. And I just thank God for giving everyone the strength and the wisdom to be able to lean into that and launch it. And realize that we're far from being expert and we're far from being perfect. But what we're all doing right now is learning and growing and accommodating and just doing the best that we can to meet your needs. As frustrated as we get sometimes at school, we understand and know that that frustration also exists at home and that fatigue exists at home. And we just want to make sure that we as a community are able to go through this and do it together. And so that when we come out of this, that we are stronger because of it. Also, beyond the e-learning, as a matter of fact, after one day in the process, we said, we're missing something. And we can do the education piece, and everybody's going to be doing the education piece, but New Life Academy is all about community. So how do we capture that community that everybody knows and loves? So we added the New Life Academy, Going the Distance. And we're still trying to do story times. As a matter of fact, I was enthralled last night listening to Miss Washburn read 3 books, and there were over 70 students just hanging on her every word. And I'm sure that had we left the room going, those kids would have stayed on there for the duration of the evening until mom and dad said, time to go to bed now. But it was so much fun just to see them engaged in our community with someone that they love. Yesterday, Mr. Moseman and I had a chance to meet with our student leadership group, and they're planning things to do. Just keep that community going. And Friday night, we're having a virtual dinner, Dawn and I are, with senior parents. And so we're excited about all of the community that we're trying to build and continue to hang on to and grow here. Because looking back to my first day on the job at New Life Academy, that was the most important thing. And several months into the job, that remains the most important thing. And today we had a chance to hang out with seniors. Mr. Atkinson and I did. And it was just fun to hang out and talk to them and just capture where they're at and what they're feeling and what they're thinking. And as we think about this, it's impacting everyone. But when we think about our seniors, probably the most prolific impact is with them, because they expected to manage the moments this year and to experience those senior moments. Well, I can only promise you that we as a school will do everything in our power to help those seniors experience some of those senior moments, and that's something that they can hang on to and remember this experience somewhat in a positive light. And there will be more to come from Mr. Atkinson on this. We are in the midst of unprecedented times, but God gave us faith to believe, a brain to figure things out, and a spirit that is guided by his love to overcome. We will trust in the Lord, and we will use what he has given us to figure things out. And we're in the midst of a time that we are called to figure things out. We know one thing, that God equips us for what he calls us to do. We're being called to do big things now at New Life Academy. Big things. And we have to do these things together. And I just praise God that he has brought me to this place. And I am thankful every single day that I have a chance to spend with New Life Academy people and New Life community people. Y'all are a special bunch, and y'all never create a glitch in my giddy up. It's y'all have been such a blessing to me. I just want to cover a few logistical things now, and I'll turn it over to the principals in just a moment. But from the comments on the survey, there were some tech concerns that came up with tech crashing and Schoology slowing down. And I'll be honest, it has taken me a few minutes to get my head around this, but the entire world is gripped by this pandemic and everyone is fighting for bandwidth. And so I just continue to beg your patience as we navigate some of these times. Schoology is a national company, and they have literally thousands of people online all day and into the evening. And so when things crash, we just beg for grace. And when things aren't going well on your end, you will get grace from us. So just consider this a grace-filled place right now virtually. Secondly, the partnership with our families is so important. And one of the things that we're trying to do as a school and with our governing council is just to figure out how best that we can assist families in any manner that we can. And we're just praying through that carefully, and there will be more to come. But right now, we're just really navigating requests on a case-by-case situation. And you know, we've had situations of requests of how do I access supplies or a computer, or I mean, I think there was even a case with just some navigation to a friend of someone's in the community with food shelves and how we can assist with that. We just want to be an Acts 2 community that can help and assist in any way that we can. As you've been by our side in this journey for well over 40 years, since 1977, we plan to be by your side. And I can only guarantee you one thing, and that is that we're going to navigate these turbulent waters together. And we're going to navigate these times together through the love of Jesus Christ, with his hope guiding our every single step. I want to conclude my section by a discussion that I had today with a good friend who's he's a pastor, and he is just one of the most profound people that I know and have in my life. And he said, Bruce, he said, do you trust God? And he said, no. He said, do you really, really trust God? And I thought about it, and I said, yeah, I do. And I'm having to trust more and more today. And he said, that's not bad. And the second question was, do you trust that he has a plan for us? Without hesitation, I said, yes. Not only do I trust, I know that God has a plan for us. And it's our job to lean into every second of every single day to figure out what that plan is. And once we know what that plan is, know that he has equipped us to execute that plan. As a school, our job is not only to survive, our job is to thrive. And we're going to thrive at this time by helping and supporting each other, and also doing the education thing as best we can. I just want to again say thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this loving community and allowing me to work at a school that loves Jesus Christ and just loves on children with every single thing that we got. And I, again, will guarantee you that will not change. And we will do everything that we can to help and support everyone in our community and beyond. I just say praise God and just thank y'all so much. And I'll turn it over to Christine at this point. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight.
All right, well, hello, everybody. I just want to take the time to just say thank you. I know so many of you from being here over 23 years at New Life. Some of these kids that were our seniors now, I've known since they were little. But this time that we are in right now is a challenge, but I have been so blessed and my team has been so blessed by all of you this week with your words of encouragement, the feedback we've gotten. And as it's been challenging, I'm also on the side of being a parent. And so I've kind of stepped into both roles and working and juggling a fifth grader. And so I just wanted to share a verse with you that I have really clung to this week that's been on my heart. It's Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. These little kiddos that we work with, and even your students that are in lower school and high school, we all miss them terribly, and we would love to be back with them, but we are so excited to be able to offer learning to them, even in our young area. We're providing more hands-on activities that are going to be sent home tomorrow with the kids. And our teachers are so excited to implement even more teaching time with the students online, as well as they've been connecting all week with our families and just enjoying that one-on-one time with the students and the parents. So you'll continue to see that. We're also going to be adding some surprise demonstrations and things like that. So just to engage you at home with your students on your own time. I do realize that a lot of you have other children. We have some families that have 4 or 5 kids. And so to do the activities with one of the preschoolers might be hard. So some of the things you'll see are going to be videoed and taped so that you can watch them at your own convenience. The learning packets are made for you to do at your own time to keep your kids busy learning about Jesus. We have so many activities based on Easter coming up. It's our favorite time of year, and we're so sad to see that we can't teach them in class, but we're hoping that you can continue it at home with them. Again, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I've received so many emails, so many calls, and so many texts, just encouraging our teachers and myself. And I'm just so blessed to be able to work and partner with all of you. So thank you.
I guess that puts me on next.
That does.
Yeah. So good evening, New Life. I just want to start off first with thanking you all for your kindness, support, and encouragement that you have shown us during this time of transition to online learning. We are truly blessed as you have shown us the love of Christ. Mm-hmm. Words can't express even how much we miss not having the kids on campus with us every day. My heart was just filled with joy last night as families came online for the reading time, seeing all the faces and hearing your voices was food for my soul. Thank you too for those of you who sent pictures and videos of your kids doing worship to Father Abraham and different things yesterday during chapel time. I have to say we had a good time doing that. And some of us were put into some out of our comfort zone type thing, but it was very special to do for you. I'm looking forward to doing more of those. I cannot tell you how much I've appreciated and been amazed by my teachers and the support staff as they have stepped up and taken on this challenge. We've asked them in a very short time to completely change where and how they teach, along with how they use their resources in all new ways. God called the right teachers to New Life Academy for this time. In saying that, we also appreciate how you have stepped up and taken on this challenge. For the same reasons. We realize that everyone is being asked to be in different workplaces, to take on helping their children and navigating this ever-changing situation. I know that there have been some hurdles to overcome, and I would like to address these the best I can. We understand that managing multiple kids and schedules is stressful. Please know that we understand that a child may not be able to make every live session. That's why we're trying to record each session so they can be watched at a later time. We also understand that having enough devices in families with multiple children can be an issue. Please reach out to me so that we can work together to help you in this area. I know that many different resources and apps are being used by the teachers. Realize that many of them are there for alternate places for your children to go and use when they have time. We're not expecting that you be on all of them all the time. They're just there that you can find what would work best for your child or children. We also want to reassure you that this is a huge learning curve, and we have much patience and grace as you navigate to find the new normal, which kind of has become the new buzzwords. Workload has also been a concern both in not having enough and too much. Please know that as the teachers navigate this, they will also learn what expectations they can expect. It is a learning curve for them too. We understand that you may not get to everything in a day, but do your best, and we will work with you and be understanding. There have been many reaching out about the special area teachers and everything and doing everything on a specific day. That is not the case. We want to reassure you that the specialist teachers have put their resources and their videos and things online for you to access when you have time. They don't have to be done on Tuesday or Thursday, throughout the week. And if you don't have time during the week, if something can be done on the weekend or in the next week, that's fine too. And if you have questions, please reach out to the specialists, because they're available online twice a week where you can actually live conference with them and ask them their questions. Know that we want to partner with you as we always have done, but know that it's going to look completely different and will take some time to figure it all. We love our families and want to be the hands and feet of Christ for you all.
Wow. Thank you, Nancy. I don't know how to follow that. So I just want to kind of reiterate what Nancy has said, and Bruce and Christine. And I didn't plan on sharing this, but one of my favorite verses comes from Psalms, and there's some personal reasons in my own history, but it's Psalm 16, verse 8. I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. And Bruce asked us this week, what are some things as we're learning this new paradigm, as we're learning this virtual education, what are some things that you can share with us? And I shared with Bruce, I have just had an overwhelming sense of joy for about the last 2 weeks. And it's not because kids are gone, I promise. But it's a sense that what better opportunity than to continue to impact the kingdom of Christ with our kids, when things that define us and things that we're so used to are now completely gone. And when we refocus and we sort of adjust where our priorities are and where it can be, how awesome it is for our kids. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for just letting me be a part of this experience with you as we go through this together as a New Life community. In the middle school and upper school level, as Dr. Locklear shared, we gave our teachers a couple of days to get ready to go online. I have been overwhelmingly proud of my teachers. Their willingness to just step up, figure it out, support each other, and do the best to connect with your kids. Our goal is to deliver not only a solid and strong education, but also to continue to be a light for your students. I've heard several times of teachers having phone calls and connecting, or just face-to-face time, because believe it or not, we know that teachers are an important aspect of your child's life, but your child is a very important aspect of our teachers' lives as well. They generally want to see how they're doing. And we know that this first week we've hit some bumps. But the best part about it is this afternoon I had virtual meetings with all of my staff, and each one of those bumps, ironically, is an opportunity where my staff gets excited to face that challenge, to figure it out. Even today, I shared with a friend of mine from another school, I feel like I'm almost playing goalie a little bit with my teachers because they have so many ideas. I kind of want them to roll them out slowly so we can all get adjusted here in this first week. There were 5 major categories that came out from the parent survey for the middle school and upper school, and I'd like to try to address them quickly so you as parents have the opportunity to engage with us as administrators. The first one was the workload. We spent some time today as teachers, and myself as principal. We've heard feedback that the workload seems very heavy. The teachers are going to adjust a bit on that to try and balance. But one area that came up that we'd like to share with you as parents is oftentimes we have your kids every day for a minimum of 50 minutes. And what we're seeing is in that class time, traditionally students get work time to do homework, to connect with their teachers in person. And so some of it doesn't come home. Missing that 50-minute class, that structure is kind of removed from our students. So there is direct instruction, they see their teacher, but there isn't that sort of block of time where a kid should focus in, finish as much as they can, and move on. So we address that today as teachers to really keep that in mind, that with the students not directly in class and taking all work home, the delivery of that homework is feeling much different. So we're going to work on addressing that. We also specifically addressed in middle school, and again, it was out of the goodness of everyone's heart of setting homework deadlines like on Friday. However, we've heard from our kids, and that's the best part about middle school and upper school kids. They just tell you how it is, man. They love you, but you're going to hear about it. The goal was to give them plenty of time to do homework. So for today, for example, we recognize that the 8th graders have 17 homework assignments due on Friday. And as you can imagine, that's extremely overwhelming. So our teachers are going to restructure as we move into next week and really keep them more, for example, if you're a Monday class, then homework's due Wednesday, a little smaller size, Tuesday to Thursday. And it's not because our middle school kids aren't capable of doing amazing things. It's to help to continue to build that structure and that organization and responsibility as we can through this new virtual model. So that'll be coming as well. How do office hour work? This is new for everybody. We are encouraging our students to advocate and actually set up meetings with their teachers in those office hour times. All of our teachers are willing to be available. All of them are open for questions. I even talked to a few teachers today. They're Zooming in at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night to help with math. Our teachers are willing to help whenever, but we would encourage your students to at least initiate, hey, I would like to spend a block of time with you on Friday or on Tuesday and Thursday during those office virtual hours so we can get those scheduled and get them on the kids' calendars. IP, 15% IP has come up. And we are working very closely with the science department. And what we are doing is they are going to communicate to the students individually about their 15% IP projects. It will look a little different, and the expectations will look a little different, but that communication is coming. One thing that we're continuing to learn in middle school and upper school is every layer we peel back, there is another layer. And you guys have been great, and you've been gracious, and you've been patient. And we really are trying to stay ahead of the curve as much as possible. But some of these things we'll just have to roll out as we get into week 2. And then my last 2 things, there has been discussion around community groups and more opportunities for our students to come together. As Dr. Locklear shared today, I had the opportunity to have lunch with the seniors. That was great to see their faces and get them all together. And what I was surprised by, a lot of them hadn't seen each other yet. So we as a school are going to look for opportunities to bring bigger groups together, to have sessions much like we're doing tonight, to continue to facilitate that community. Because we know here, the secret sauce of New Life Academy is the students and the people that are a part of our community, and we're going to keep trying to keep that going. Lastly, and this is a principal public service announcement, my teachers have asked me to share this. Parents at the middle school and upper school level, we do have a formalized schedule for the day for our students. We've noticed a little bit of an uptick this week. On Monday, we had 100% attendance from every kid, grades 6 through 12. Today, we were a little bit lower. So parents, can you just remind your students they do still need to log in on the hour to get some of that direct instruction time and to make sure they're staying caught up with their teachers. I see some parents nodding their heads in the camera. Okay, this is a good thing. Just remind those kids we've got that structure to help build structure in their day, to make sure they get that direct instruction and to be there for them. And quite frankly, for you too, parents, hopefully knowing that your kids have a formalized schedule each day is hopefully giving you some opportunities and giving you support as well. But I think what you're going to hear, and you have heard from all of us, is just a really big heartfelt thank you. We love your kids. We love you guys. And we appreciate that we get to do this journey together. And I go back to my beginning point. I think the Lord is just moving in different ways. And like I said, for me personally, my wife has asked me if I'm okay, because every morning I'm like, man, I am excited for today, because I got up this morning, I took a breath, and who knows what's coming next, but let's go figure it out. So thank you guys for being a part of that with us.
All right, thank you to all of our principals for sharing a little bit about their thoughts and where they are with their different areas right now. I want to remind you that we want this to be interactive and have you have a chance to share your questions. Some of you have already done that. At the bottom of your screen, there's a chat feature. Those questions, you can type questions in for any of the principals. It's helpful if you address which level you would like to have addressed the question. So just say middle school question, upper school question, lower school, early ed, whatever it might be. And we will answer as many of those as we can. I'll ask them of the principals. The first one actually is going to be directed towards Mr. Atkinson. You talked a little bit about virtual office hours and wanting kids to reach out and schedule a specific time. What about kids that are a little bit more reticent to do that? Is there anything from the teachers that are going to be reaching out to students that maybe haven't set up those times or are in need of help for sure?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. As a matter of fact, there is. Behind the scenes, what parents you don't see, we still are taking attendance each day. And if we've seen a trend of a student not logging in and maybe needing a phone call or needing a check-in, that'll come out of my office just to make sure things are going okay. Teachers will reach out to groups that need to set up chat rooms within Schoology. For example, in math, if there are a group of kids who can work together, that will be coming from the teachers. We have asked teachers to initiate where they're seeing students who need support to initiate that. Again, in day 4, tomorrow is our first day with a day of kind of the teacher office hours. So we're going to reconvene as teachers Monday morning to just kind of talk through where it is we can improve, what went well and what didn't. But the goal is to just really have a little bit of both, trying to connect with each side when needed.
Great, thank you. Next question is addressed to all 3 directors, principals. Would it be possible for you to give us any updates or to walk us through what the schedule for the next week or 2 might be? Are there any changes anticipated and in terms of face-to-face time or requirements, etc.? Nancy, let's start with you.
Okay, we will be emailing out the schedule. Basically, our schedule is every other day. So if you have your meeting at 8 o'clock or in the morning on one day, you'll have your meeting in the afternoon the next day. And so depending on what grade your child is, that alternates, but we'll send out the week of March 30th tomorrow. I will send it out, then the teachers will probably also send it out too. And I was going to say, we are also looking, now that we've been into it a week, what more can we do to get some FaceTime without overwhelming the teachers, without overwhelming you, so that we're in quite a few talks about how we can adapt that a little bit better.
Mrs. DeBoer, would you like to address anything with?
I sure can. Our teachers are actually meeting tomorrow through Zoom to begin planning some more activities for next week. So you should be getting a schedule from me, as well as your classroom teacher, with some more opportunities for your students to learn online with both the teacher, the aide being with them, and just some other fun things. But those will be set, like I said before, with video or live times, and you can feel free to join on those live times if you're able to. Otherwise, they will be recorded as well.
For my level, middle school and upper school, the schedule is not set to change. Again, we're in week 1, we're evaluating it, but we'd like to try to keep the kids and give you as parents a consistent schedule to help sort of maintain some routine and maintain some expectations. We did launch chapel this week. That'll be coming to kind of slide into the schedule more next week and the weeks going on. But at this point, we don't see a schedule change. As far as more time with teachers, again, that will come from our level. I've had Dr. Schrader, Mrs. Bateman-Eck is launching art club next week in the afternoon. So there are some new things coming, and we'll continue to have those hour blocks of time for direct instruction if needed.
Thank you. A question that came in that actually I can answer is related to spring sports. Some of you may have seen through social media and other places that the State High School League came out yesterday after Governor Walz's announcement and continue to postpone any activities related to sports through May 4th. I've been on conference calls with athletic directors from the Skyline Conference, talking about what we think the season may be if we're allowed to come back after May 4th, and are committed to having as many sports, as many games as we possibly can in that time, while still being safe and allowing the athletes time to condition before those games. So at this point, everything is still set to go when we're able to return. If that changes, we'll be sure to communicate it with you. Middle school sports, the CAA that we go with is meeting on Monday as a board to decide where they want to go with their season. And we'll make a determination after that meeting on where our middle school sports go. Mr. Atkinson, another question, just on a couple of updates regarding some of the trips that were scheduled. I know some communication has gone out on this, but perhaps you can give us an update. Possibilities of Washington, D.C. trip being rescheduled. And then after that one, there's a question about Camp Forest Springs for 6th grade.
Right. All of the trips have been looked at and are being addressed. The DC trip will run again. It's usually an every 2-year process. And so eventually there will be another trip. I'm just not sure when that date will happen at this point. Camp Forest Springs, I've been working closely with Camp Forest Springs, and we believe that's one of the foundational experiences that our students have for 6th grade in that middle school age. So that trip will happen, but the date itself is definitely not finalized. And as administration works to get that communication out, you can look for it there.
Thank you. Question came in about, has there been any discussion regarding extending the high school or extending the school year, especially at the high school level?
Currently at this time, no. There is no district, no school, at least in our area, is planning on extending the school year. Bruce, do you want to speak more to that?
There has been no discussion at the state level and at the national level from people that I've connected with regarding the extension of the school year in any form. That's the purpose of e-learning right now. So I do not see that happening, but if that changes, we will keep you posted.
I'll address this next one to Mrs. DeBoer, although I may have some things to include as well.
Okay.
We know the impacts to the summer blast program or any extended school year programs at this point.
As of right now, there haven't been any changes to the summer program. We are still running all summer programs unless we hear anything in the next few weeks that would determine that. A decision should be out here by April. We've extended the deadline for changes, which I believe is the end of April. But again, that's fluid. So if we need to make any other changes to that, we will contact families that have currently been registered. Mr. Nelson, who is our new summer director, has emailed all families out to let them know of that change. And of course, you know, we're hoping to have all summer programs. We've planned for them. We've got staffing set, so we're hoping to go.
And I would just add that for sports, we've got several of our athletic teams at the varsity level that are planning to host camps this summer for youth athletes. And we'd like to have all of those happen if possible as well. So our commitment is to make those happen unless we are told there it's not a situation where it's safe to still have people together like that. So, next question is at the middle school level. Is it possible for teachers to produce a weekly homework schedule for students? Some of the elementary teachers have been doing this, and it seems very helpful for parents.
That's a topic we talked about today. I think the key thing there is we still would facilitate that through Schoology. I think what teachers are doing right now is revamping, in the sense where with the best intention, they sort of said everything's due on Friday. What I'm hoping they'll do is they'll change that into the Schoology calendar where it'll be due a little bit more closer in time. So it can be, but we will facilitate that through Schoology.
At the elementary level, Ms. Washburn, is it possible to move to a weekly schedule that is the same week after week? I'm not sure if that's referring to the flipping of days or if it's other things.
The only thing is you have to realize kids in the morning are better than they are in the afternoon. And so always being a teacher that always has maybe the worst time of the day is kind of hard. That was kind of the reason behind that, just that kind of to spread out the best learning times for all grades. And so that's what we're looking at. But as we go forward, if we find that that's an issue, we can revisit that and stuff. That was the first thought, like, oh, we'll just keep the same schedule. But like I say, when you look at the age of kids, the best learning time, we wanted to make sure that it was fair across the grades.
Thank you. This I think would be addressed across all levels. I know the pre-K and preschool programs have done a good job of creating learning packets for their students, providing all handouts and so forth. Question is if that's possible for at the elementary level, as families have been asked now to print some materials. And as we go further into this, that can add up pretty quickly. So for that, what that might look like in terms of printing materials ahead of time and having them mailed home or being available for pickup.
Well, I know today and tomorrow, many of my teachers are working on these kind of things. Some of it is, the logistics with the e-learning and knowing exactly what to send home, what we can get through in a certain amount of time does kind of make a difference as to how we can plan for that. Our intention is not to make that a burden on you. If it is, if you could please contact me and we can work at making sure that you get those materials.
Ms. Washburn, I'll stick with you for the next question as well.
Okay.
Similar to how the upper school students and middle school students have an opportunity for office hours, are there opportunities for elementary students to schedule individual time with teachers if needed?
I believe that's already happening. When I've chatted with my teachers, a lot of them have been on calls, and I know they have the Marco Polo app where they've been connecting with people at different times. If we have specific office hours, then a teacher could probably be overwhelmed by more. I think they'd rather take it on an individual basis and that, but please feel it through Schoology or through email to contact your teachers if you have questions. They're more than willing to answer those.
Great, thank you. Mr. Atkinson, I know some of this was sent out an email before this meeting started, but what decisions have been made regarding the spring formal? Is it delayed, canceled? Is there anything you can report on that?
Currently, right now, the spring formal falls outside of the governor's no school date. So at this point, it is still scheduled on the calendar. Again, everything is fluid though. Just to maybe reassure, we have reservations for where the location is. Our student council leaders, Ellie Fredrickson and Angela Mormon, have done a great job. So again, currently right now, it is. I do know today with the students, that was a big deal of, can I start asking people? And I shared the same thing with them. Feel free, but again, remember, everything is fluid. So at this point, it is still on the calendar for the 9th.
Great, thank you. A question came in that I can address regarding the silent auction. Communication went out earlier tonight about the silent auction. It will still occur. It will be in a virtual format. That went out with a communication about several other upcoming events and the status of those. So again, look for more information soon about when and how that event will take place. But the auction will go on, but it will be in a virtual format rather than in all of us meeting together. Mr. Atkinson, at the upper school level, obviously we missed our Eagle Expo. So what does it look like in terms of registering for classes next year?
Yes, registering for classes for next year. Eagle Expo is going to happen. It will be all virtual. What we will have is a combination of live, and then we will be putting together videos per grade level to watch those. And then much like we've done in the past few years, Eagle Expo registration will go online live following those meetings that night, and students can register for classes. If you have students who are currently in 7th up through 11th, you've done that before online. We will spend a little more time with 5th grade moving into 6th grade to pick electives in math. But that will be virtual as far as the informational parts, but the registration will be online as it has been the last few years. We are looking right now, I think somewhere in April, second week of April.
Thank you. Also for you, Mr. Atkinson, what can parents expect in terms of the amount of direct instruction versus video time for middle and upper school students in terms of teacher lessons?
I think it can vary. In talking to teachers, we want every teacher to log in at the beginning of each hour to do some form of live connection with the kids. But it can vary anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. I have asked teachers not to do the whole hour to give kids work time, but to stay online to answer questions and be available for those students.
Thank you. Here's a little bit longer one. All right, for elementary school kids and those of us that work, it's hard to connect during the day, and it's hard to get all the work done. I know the teachers want things turned in on Friday, but is there going to be a way for us to get things in over the weekend? Are things due on Friday? And what if we don't submit them, such as tests on those dates? So that's more geared towards Mrs. Washburn and the elementary side, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. Today I had a conversation with a couple of teachers that we maybe need to change up, kind of like with Mr. Atkinson. I was talking to one teacher, maybe something that normally is a week, maybe to change it to a week and a half. So where maybe it's something that went from Wednesday, maybe go Wednesday to Friday, then Friday to Wednesday, so that there's a little more time, and that maybe instead of making all the assignments due on Friday, extending it to Saturday. So these definitely are in talks right now, and we certainly want to be flexible and be very aware of your situations, and that everybody's situation is different, and that you're doing your best to do that. But there will always be grace. And if you have a week that's tough and you can't, just contact your teacher. We really want to again, work with you the best that we can to help you navigate through this.
At the upper school level, Mr. Atkinson, how can parents ensure your students are completing their work on time? Is there a guideline for teachers on how quickly or how often they're updating Schoology and grade and homework completion?
Well, we're still trying to follow. Let me answer that. Let me answer one question and ask, and let me answer the question you asked. We still are following the policy for communication back to families of, a maximum of 24 hours. Teachers are still teaching, they are still grading. How can you guarantee your kids turn in homework? Again, we're going to be updating Schoology as much as possible. Just a reminder that some teachers are putting due dates out on there. So if the due date is down the road and it doesn't have an assignment in it, it means it's not been turned in and not due. But we're still going to follow the same code system as well that we were using while we were at school with Schoology, whether it's missing or turned in or incomplete. So that communication will stay the same. But again, we're navigating to see how it goes this first week. But what I would encourage parents to do is really make sure they're logging into their classes. And then the teachers can definitely stay on top of their kids to make sure they're turning them in, and they'll update Schoology as quickly as they can.
Thank you. I'd just like to remind people that you can answer any questions or ask any questions in the chat feature. We'll be wrapping up here in just the next couple minutes. We've got just a few more that have come in so far. So Mrs. Washburn, there is a question about the fifth graders and their health discussion that was to have taken place tomorrow.
For tomorrow, yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're working on that as to whether we think that's something that would be done virtually, which I don't know if that's the best thing to do it, but that we would maybe reschedule that for May, and hopefully we could do it in person, because I feel like that's something that really would need to be done in person. Also, fifth grade Bible studies too. We're looking at maybe trying to go virtual with those that run on Friday mornings. So that's all in the hopper, so to say, and that you just, like I say, the big push was to get up and running. Now that we are, and kind of where that, there's many of these little things that we're looking at going forward, that how we can work with those well and make sure that we're still being able to offer those and to do them in the best form possible.
Ms. DeBoer,
Yep.
can you speak to the childcare that will be offered for Tier 1 and Tier 2 workers? What would the daily routine look like?
Sure. The child care is going to be offered actually through myself and Nancy on the early ed and elementary levels. It is for the Tier 1 and Tier 2. It looks like we'll meet again tomorrow to discuss it and send out communication about it, but it looks like the needs that we have from our families as of now are between the hours of 8 to 4 that have expressed that. And so the day will be set up a little differently in both of our worlds. It's not going to be full school, but we will be doing, on the early ed side, we will have learning activities and hands-on play and outside time, but we also have to remember about that social distancing rule, which is going to be a little harder in preschool, but we are going to navigate that. So the first week will probably be a trial and error type thing for us, but along the lines maybe of a summer program type feel where we're doing fun activities, learning, Bible is incorporated. We won't have specialists and that type of thing. Nancy, I don't know if you've had a chance to think about it. We're kind of trying to pull it together here over the last 2 days.
Also, if your students are here, like you say, we can't do the full day teaching, but we will make sure that your child gets on with their live feed with their teachers and that. But to navigate, looking at the numbers that we have, to navigate actual teaching and overseeing that really won't be possible. Not that the kids wouldn't have a chance maybe to log on and get some things done. We would certainly are thinking of providing time for that and, you know, that. But yeah, outside time and, you know, time to play games, maybe a craft, all those kind of things. So that's, yeah, we just trying to navigate this as best we can and as quickly as we can. So we have some amazing people that we can work with, and we'll come up with very creative ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Has there been, this would be for all of you, has there been, will there be any changes to how students are graded in the midst of this?
That's a discussion that we've started and are trying to work through, because I know we've got the Block E award in our area, and we certainly don't want to not have that. So we're trying to revamp how that's going to look. We also know that it's tougher for the teachers to grade, and so certain things, you know, whether we would do a pass-fail for some and grades for others, that's all a discussion that we've started on, and as soon as we kind of have that figured out, we will certainly let that be known.
Yeah, I'll speak to it in the middle school and upper school level. We're moving virtually online, so the homework assignments are being graded. We're going to stay with letter grades. We're still going to grade their work. Where we're giving a little bit of grace is kind of the due date and late time. We're kind of opening that up a little bit because, again, we're going to see how this kind of first week rolls out, but we still will be using academic grades.
Thank you. As long as we're talking with you, Mr. Atkinson, what about senior capstone presentations? Will those continue as they have before, or will there be adjustments?
That's, if we come back in May, we will try to get those in, but we're going to have to probably do them a little bit different, probably virtual. The reason being, when we come back in May, the seniors are only 9 days away from graduation. So we have to understand that we're going to have to do some things virtually, even if we do come back, and senior capstone would be possibly one of those.
This might be just our last one. Dr. Locklear, I'm going to address this one to you. If May 5th arrives and Minnesota schools are allowed to open, can New Life Academy families still keep students home for the remaining weeks if they choose to?
That is also under discussion. We have really begun to contemplate a lot of questions, and we're probably a couple weeks out from providing that answer yet, but we will answer that in a subsequent time ahead.
Thank you. right, we'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight and spending some time with us, and certainly for asking your questions. Again, if your question was not answered tonight, we will be trying to address all of the questions. We have a running record of them, and we'll put those out as frequently asked questions here in the next couple of days. But certainly continue to reach out as needed to the principal or director that you need to, and we'll try to communicate as best we can and as promptly as we can, as this situation does remain very fluid. So again, thanks for your attendance. We continue to pray for you and your families. Please let your kids know how much we miss them and wish that they were here with us. Again, this isn't a perfect world for anybody, but God